Hi there, I'm Angela. Welcome to the channel or welcome back. Today I'm doing the very first stages of planting my 2023 garden. So I thought I could chat with you guys while I sit here and work on that. I'll kind of explain how I do this and how I start and everything like that. If that sounds interesting, then stay tuned. If you happen to catch my last video, then you know I recently ordered some seeds from MI Gardener. And I need to get those added into my little seed suitcases here. And I'll show you more about these here in a little bit, but I'm going to get those added in. So I file everything in alphabetical order, like beans, corn, eggplant, and so forth, just by alphabetical. And I still have seeds to put away from things I grew during 2022, like things I succession planted later in the year. And then when I was done planting, just kind of toss the seed packets into a pile for filing away later. So I thought this is the time to go ahead and do that too. And while I do that, I thought you might find it interesting to kind of go along with me. If not, no worries. And yeah, so let us get going. So these are some little craft storage organizers that I got from Amazon. I did a whole video on these a while back. I'll put a link to it below or up here in case you're interested in that. It was like a whole review on these. I'm still using them, and in fact, I've got a second one, and I've kind of put the kibosh on. I cannot get more seeds than will fit in these two containers because that's just too many. I have enough room to store these and that's it. And I'm able to put these in a closet here in my office slash craft room, which is where I am right now. And they stay dark and cool, kind of out of the way. So it's pretty decent seed storage conditions. And I also, before they go in here, what I do is to put them in like a little sandwich size Ziploc baggie. And I reuse these all the time. So I do have a lot of baggies in use here, but anytime I use up one packet of seeds, I recycle the bag and just keep using the bag. So up front, it was a little bit of an investment, like probably a couple of the boxes of sandwich baggies. I mean, not that much of an investment, but it's a system that works for me, so I keep doing it. And so one seed packet goes in each Ziploc along with the markers. And I can tell you a little bit more about these markers that I use, these white stakes. They're just plastic. Got them on Amazon. And what's particularly good though is the pen that I use to write on these with. I tried a lot of garden marker pens, including just everyday black Sharpies. Everything faded over time, but I found a garden marker that holds up. Like I've used some of these markers for several years now and they haven't even started to fade. I guess it's more like a paint marker type deal. I'll put a link to those markers below too, and the stakes if you're interested. They're 6 inches, so they're a little bit like taller than like the 4-inch stakes that I used to use. These are much better, much better, because you can stick more portion of them into the soil and still have like a good chunk of above soil that you can read and put more writing on. So I can't recommend those highly enough if you're looking for a way to mark your plants. So I've got, these are bull's blood beets that I grew late in the season of 22. And because I alphabetize everything, sorry I'm cut off up here, but because I alphabetize everything, it's very easy to find where these go. And what I have taken to doing too, if I have more than one type of something, like I have several types of beets, then I just clip them together. This is, not really necessary, just with a binder clip. But to me, it helps me know, like, oh, these are all beets. I can just pull this right out of my seed container, or my little seed suitcase, as I call it, and easy peasy. And then I can just put them away. So I thought, since I'm going to be pretty much going through, like flipping through all of my seeds to see what I have, I might come across some ones that did particularly well last year, and you might be interested in those. I'll also kind of show you my list that I keep on my laptop, and that's how, and I just update it I copy and paste it from year to year, and that's how I know what seeds I have to work with in the coming year. So I'm going to go ahead and put like a little screen recording clip of that in right now. So I'm just using the Notes app that came with my computer, and I just copied this whole list over from my 2022 seed inventory and made it into like a little check mark list that I can just quickly go through my seed suitcase and check off what I have and what I don't have. So starting with anise hyssop, because they're alphabetized, like I cannot stress that strongly enough. It makes good sense to me. I do know that some people organize their seeds based on planting time, which is also a fantastic way. And sometimes I feel like I should switch to that. But for now, at least this works. On my list here, though, I do have them kind of grouped. Like I have vegetables all here at the top. And then I've got more like grains, amaranth, barley, buckwheat. Then sunflowers kind of have a category of themselves. And then I have flowers down here at the bottom, both perennials and annuals. So I might be jumping around a little bit in my list because in my seed suitcases, I don't have them broken down into like vegetables, flowers, etc. They're just strictly alphabetized. So I pull out my first ones. It's, I guess, starchy. And I can go down to that on my list here. I've got 3 different varieties according to my list that carried over from last year. And I'll just make sure that I really have all of those now. And I do. So I'll just check those, and that means I'm good on that. And then my next one is anise hyssop, so I have to jump back up. It seems kind of a little tedious, especially once you start getting so many seeds, but I find that having to go through this process really keeps me in tune with what I have. It's like only like if you lay hands on every single thing, do you know what you really have. My next one is alyssum, which is flower. So go back down to there. And the next one is barley, which is, where did it go? Right there. I noticed that I'm missing amaranth, and I'm pretty sure that's because I used up all of those seeds last year. Unless it got like, misplaced or something like that. I'll just stand up and take a peek down in here. Sometimes these Ziploc bags do kind of scrunch down and you can overlook something, but I'm not seeing it. And I'm pretty sure I did plant all those last year. So then I have to decide, is that something that I want to grow again? And I'm thinking that it's not. I didn't really grow like enough to get a harvest. You have to grow like a field's worth of that, I think, to get, any kind of decent harvest. I just wanted to grow it because it was a beautiful plant and just to try something new. And it was beautiful. I actually grew it in a big like planter out on my deck, and it was really pretty. It got really tall, and the heads of it were like a bright pink, really pretty, but it's probably not something that I am going to try again. Next I have basil, and I'm showing on my list that I have 3 kinds. So do I still have all of those kinds? Cinnamon, Genovese, and lime. And I do have those, but I also have Thai basil, and I think that is somewhere else on this list. Well, I don't see it, so what I'm going to do is to just add it in down at the bottom, and I'll get it in order later. I've got my computer locked up because I'm doing a screen recording of the list. So I'm just taking a little note there and I'll add it in. So that's another thing to note too. If I use up a whole seed packet, I don't put it back into the suitcase because that would be misleading, thinking that I have that when I don't. So I just usually set those empty packets aside. I figure at some point I can reuse them if I'm doing seed saving or something like that. And next, I have a lot of bean seeds, and this is kind of funny, just so you guys get the true extent of my seed nerdiness. I have my original black turtle seed beans that I bought from Baker Creek, and the last couple years, or 2019 and 2020, I saved bean seeds from those that I grew, and then I saved. These are black turtle beans, if I didn't say that. And then I saved those in separate bags to note the year that I saved them. Just in case I ever want to do like a little experiment and see how viable they still are from the year that I saved them. See if there's any difference in how they grow. That's kind of like the scientific nerdy part of me coming through there. I don't know like how many of you guys like go to that extreme. I'd love to hear it if you do, just to know that I'm not alone. So then I can go back to my list, and I forgot to check off the basils. I'm going to do that. So here, if you see on my list, I've got beans, black turtle. I originally started growing these in 2017, but I don't think I still have that packet. I'm sure those all got, used. I'm wondering if this was, no, these are the 2017. So when I grow them this year, it'll be really interesting to see how they do compared to the seeds I saved in 2019 and 2020. And so I actually have that marked on here, 2017 packet, and then saved in 2019 and 2020. You guys are probably laughing at me for how nerdy this is. Years ago, many years ago in my professional life, I was in the scientific field running experiments and things like that. So I think I have that mindset, and it's just stayed with me all that time. So hence why I end up with situations like this. I'm not sure if I have like all of these alphabetized or if I just kind of was done with planting and just threw the beans all in. As long as they were like in the bean section, I don't know if I got them all alphabetized within each section. If I didn't, I'm like fine with that. I'm not that picky. My next one is Calypso, and this was from the 2019 packet. So I have those. And I've got, so on my list, I'm showing that last year I had dragon tongue beans. And I'm really sure because it was a 21 packet, I have not used all those yet. So somewhere in here is probably that packet. I'm going to leave it for now. But what I do have is flageolet bush beans from Annie's Heirloom Seeds. And it's not on here. And I think that's because I just got these last year. So they didn't get, carried over. No, packaged for 21. I wonder if I got them late in the year. Either way, they're going to get added on, but I have to do that when my screen's not locked up with recording. So I'll just keep my note here. And I'm going to put these back. My next one is Fort Portal Jade beans. I am in love with these beans. These are one of my favorite things that I grow. I'll show you the packet. I don't know if I can get it that close up. Hopefully you can see that. Beautiful beans. They're just such a lovely green color. And here is I'm sure that's too far away, but and prolific. I've had good success with these. It's called Fort Portal Jade. I got these from Baker Creek, but you might be able to find them elsewhere too. I had held off for a long time getting these beans because the seed packet, at least at that time, was a little pricier than most other seeds, or at least bean seeds. Finally, one year I broke down and did it, and I was so glad. They're just the loveliest beans, and so happy to grow them. And every year I've grown them since then. And I might cut out this part while I'm going through all the beans because I don't want you guys to get bored to tears. If I come across anything that I think is noteworthy, I'll include that. But there's no point in you watching me go through everything seed by seed. And I found the rest of my beans that were missing. I think these I was just re-sowing because I had a lot of issue with the deer getting my beans last year. So a lot of them I was just re-sowing and re-sowing after they would just take hit after hit. So I had all of these kind of set aside. So found them. One other bean that I've had great success with and love is Vermont cranberry. These do very, very well for me. You guys can see those. I got these from Pine Tree Seeds a while back, like how long ago? 2018, and just kept, saving and resowing ever since then. All right, so I've made it all the way through beans, which are just like each of these two seed suitcases is divided into 2 rows. So that's just the first row. So I'm 25% through, and I probably will wrap this video up, but I wanted to get back to my list and show you guys how everything is kind of filled in. I do have my couple that I need to add. But yeah, I'll just keep going down the list. And as you could see, there were new seeds that made it into the suitcase throughout the year, but didn't get added to the list. So I really, really like having this list. It really lets me know what I'm starting with and how to plan, how to allocate, like how much space I'm going to need for each thing. So I find it really useful. I do keep like a more detailed spreadsheet too, where I note like days that I sowed the seed, days I transplanted outside, and things like that. But for just a quick little look at what I'm working with to start out with, at least, is just this little checklist here. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm limiting myself to whatever can fit in these 2 containers. If I cannot stuff another seed packet into these bins, then I'm done. That's how I know use up what I got, no more new seeds. It's such an addiction, isn't it? So I'm going to kind of wrap it up here, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me while I go through this kind of tedious little task. Actually, I won't wrap it up. I'll just pause and I'll keep going through here. And like I mentioned, if there's anything that stands out and I want to show you guys, like this did really well for me or this tasted really good, I'll pop that in, and then I will wrap it up. So I'll be back. I did successfully grow cabbage last year. If you follow my channel for a little while, you know that's been a little bit of a challenge for me over the years. So 22 is my second successful year growing it, and my first year to grow any of the red cabbages. And those did really well. In fact, I think my red cabbages, which were Red Acres and Red Jewel, did better than my green cabbages. So just a little tidbit to throw in there. How do you guys do with your cabbage? Do you have a favorite variety? Cabbage is probably my favorite vegetable, hands down, of all the vegetables. I eat cabbage a lot, like pretty much every day. And I'm buying like 2 or 3 heads of cabbage a week at the grocery store. And it was so nice when I had my own cabbage growing. Okay, I wanted to jump in here and show you guys this Rosa Bianca eggplant. I got this from Baker Creek, and this was, back in 2018. And this is a beautiful plant. I only got a couple off of here, and I couldn't even bear to cut them off the plant to eat them. They were so gorgeous. I hope that really shows up. They're a beautiful, like striated purplish and white. It's so pretty. They just are lovely. I would grow these just to have them on a beautiful plant rather than just eat them. Although I'm going to grow them again this coming year. Hopefully the seeds will still do good even though they'll be 5 years old. And I'll probably try to cook one or two up just to see how they taste. Eggplant Black Beauty does really well. It's kind of like a good old standby. So I made it through my first seed suitcase and I'm pretty much done for tonight. I've got other things I need to do tonight. So I'll go back and do the second one, which kind of has a lot of the goodies in it, like the peppers and tomatoes. I definitely have some favorites I want to share with you guys after I go through that one to see how I'm doing. And I'll try to make that my next video. It's kind of hard to come up with a lot of things to talk to you guys about over the winter, but planning and things like that, preparation is definitely one of the things that I can share, at least the way that I do it. Maybe you'll find that helpful. So I hope you found this helpful or at least interesting. And until next time, thanks for watching.